Obviously, last week was not the result we wanted, and so looking forward to getting back to work. And we did that yesterday. The guys had good energy, great spirit. We had a really good practice, and looking to continue that work today and tomorrow, and get on this game with the Chargers. So, great opportunity for us to, really not even worried about what happened last week, but just get back on the field, get back to doing what we love, and look to go get a win. So,
how tough is it going to be to play without your best player, probably in Derek Brown, and how do you replace him?
Yeah, you don't replace them. So it's the next man up, and we have a lot of confidence and faith in all of the D linemen on our roster. We got some very good players there, and these guys have been working their butts off, and they're ready to go.
You guys have been pretty high on Nick Thurman since he arrived here.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do well?
Well, Nick is a twitchy athlete. He's explosive. He's got really good play strength, and he has a versatility to play the nose and play the end spot. And so he's a good player, and he's had a lot of productive downs for us at both of those spots. And so we know that he'll do well if his number's called.
Was there a point in that game where you sensed Derek might have done something to his foot?
No, I had no idea. Yeah, I had no idea at all.
There were quite a few instances of, it seemed like, communication issues, or at least from the outside looking in. What did you have to work on this week after looking at the tape on some of maybe the mental errors?
Yeah, mental errors are always something that are not acceptable. We never want to be a team that beats ourselves. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other things we got to address. We got to play faster. We got to play with more physicality. We got to play the run game, especially this week with what the Chargers present. And so those are the challenges.
What are the common denominators last week in the run game that caused some of those problems?
Yeah, I think there's things schematically. There are things in terms of just getting outplayed. And at the end of the day, the result wasn't what we wanted. And there's a lot of things we could correct coaching-wise and player-wise.
Do you feel like you guys were rusty, from not getting preseason snaps?
I wouldn't say that. I'm not going to make any excuses. I loved our preparation going into the game. I loved what we did this offseason in training camp. And at the end of the day, we just got to show up and coach better and play better.
We hear play faster a lot. What are the coaching points on that?
Well, I don't want to get into too many game plan advantages for the Chargers, but at the end of the day, we just got to do it a lot better than we did it the other day.
What was what did you think missed tackles were part of the equation?
That was some of it, yep, certainly. Mm-hmm.
I also want to ask you about Charles Harris and your background with him and what you've seen from him.
Yeah, so I don't have any background with him, but Todd Wash was with him in Detroit, and obviously first-round draft pick, and he's had a lot of production in this league. The one thing that jumped out of the tape yesterday is he's on the field and he's running to the ball, running 50 yards down the field. Plays with great effort, plays with great physicality. I really, really love his play style.
The Chargers pretty much.
With Jim, Jim Harbaugh, you coached under him,
Mm-hmm.
so you know what he wants to do. He wants,
Yeah.
I guess, to run the ball, and that was something you got to struggle with. So what was your experience like with in San Francisco? What did you learn during that time that helped you get ready for this week?
Yeah, no, you just know that Jim's team is always that's going to be an organizational decision on how they want to play, starting up front on both sides of the ball, being physical, running the football, and so it's not going to be a surprise to us what's going to happen on Sunday, and we have to be ready for it.
You've been in situations before where you were in Denver when Chubb gets straight in the middle of the season, guys get hurt. How do you approach kind of the human element in your meeting rooms of kind of the shock of this guy was here, now he's not?
Yeah, and that's just life in the NFL. Yeah, you feel for the guys because, Bradley's example, he was a great guy, great locker room guy. We loved working with him every day, and then he's gone. And you miss that part of it. And same thing with Derek. It's a great guy. He epitomizes what you want in a professional and in a leader. And obviously what he does on the field is tremendous. And so you're going to miss just the game day. Obviously, is one thing he's going to be missed there, but just the day to day, like seeing him in the meetings, interacting with him, watching the way he works, all of those things are going to be missed. But at the end of the day, that's just how this thing goes, and it's always going to be the next man up. And as much as we feel for Derek, and on a personal level, I'm excited for the next guys up that are going to get a great opportunity.
Yes, sir.
The Chargers this past week quadrupled their rush in the second half versus the first. I think a couple of explosive runs helped. But what were they doing to kind of
opened those lanes up in the second half.
Yeah, the Raiders did a really good job playing their run game, except for 2 plays, essentially. They got the 50-yard, something yarder, and then the last one out of 22 personnel, 60-some, I think. So they got most of the yarders on 2 plays, and so I think that's just the story right there. Is something we're walking in. We just got to. We know they're going to stay committed to it, and even though the early success is not there, they're going to stay committed to the run game. And our message is that we got to be ready to play these guys for 60 minutes.
Just close the door on the run game right there.
Well done.
From the standpoint of stopping the run, is it more technique based or is it more scheme based when you look at what happened last week and how you take it in?
Yeah, it's both. And I look back to last year against Atlanta, Week 1, and it was the same story. We played better defensively, but we did not play the run game well. And I felt like it was the same this week or last week. And so at the end of the day, we got to get better. We got to coach better. We got to play better. We all understand that, and so.
What made Harbaugh such a good coach, or makes him such a good coach?
He is. I think he does a great job of getting the guys to buy into what he is, and the team is always going to epitomize what he stands for: toughness, physicality. He thinks outside the box. He's not going to just be a guy that does things the way because that's how it's always been done, and which a lot of times coaches fall into that routine. And he's always going to be looking for an edge. And I just think he's a great motivator. He's a great CEO of the team, and somebody I respect a lot.
Any moment that stood out from your time there that's kind of like that showed you exactly what it was all about? He's kind of quirky too, right?
Yeah, he is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of moments. I don't know if I can think of one off the top of my head, but he's definitely great at motivating the team.
EJ, Shaq Thompson led the team in tackles. Josie also played alongside him for the first time. What do you make of the inside linebacker group's performance in Week 1?
Yeah, I thought they were very good. I thought Shaq was very productive. He had a couple of run-throughs, some TFLs. Yeah, they played well. Can they play better? Absolutely. But certainly that position did what they needed to do.
In what ways could they play better?
Every game, there's going to be something. Hey, there's a run fit here or a tackle here, maybe something in coverage. But they're all things we can clean up.
You added Chris Harris, but overall, how pleased are you with your pass rush right now?
Well, Jadeveon, Harris, the other guys that we roll out there, we just got to get a chance to rush. Again, like we keep talking about the run game. It's hard to close the door on the run game because it ties back into everything. But I think that what we need to do is if we can play the run game better, that's going to get us to those pass rush opportunities. And now we can see what we got there. But until we do that, we're not going to have those opportunities.
Non-run game question. You were in the same division with Herbert briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Just your impressions of him, and it's kind of weird that we're not talking about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's very talented. Obviously, he's big arm. He's got the size. He's intelligent, and it'll be interesting to see how they evolve him into Coach Roman's offense. But he's got all the talent in the world, and as this thing unfolds for him over the season, it'll be interesting to see how that works out for him.
Do you look at some of Greg's old tape to see, how they might incorporate Justin?
Yeah, you're always going to try to do your due diligence, and it's always going to be, Greg's a great coach too. He's obviously he's got his system and his scheme, but I know for a fact, just drawing the plays for him when I was a QC for him is that he's always going to be looking to utilize his player and his personnel and their strengths. So.
Go ahead.
With the way that rosters change in the NFL, it's not uncommon that you have guys who get on the team that are coming back to face their former three, in particular from this offense,
Mm-hmm.
familiar with the scheme, that are coming back this week. How much does that impact the way that you prepare?
Yeah, certainly that gives. That's always part of this league. You're always going to play every week. I feel like you're going to play against somebody that you've been with in the past, and so I don't think you factor that in too much. You just kind of see what it is for the moment, and you're going against this offense, this run game, this quarterback, and all those things, and that's just how you prepare.
Have you had to change any calls? Have you had to change any calls?
Just with guys that are
Things that Shaq or Josie might be verbalizing pre-snap.
just like in terms of Bozeman picking it up.
Right.
Oh, I got you. No, I'm not. I don't think. Yeah, I don't
You
think.
change them every year anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll keep that to myself.
Given last week's outing, and you seem to be a very driven coach, how much pressure do you put on yourself personally, as far as the defensive performance heading into this week?
It's not pressure. I mean, life in the NFL is pressure. So that's whether you win or lose, it's not going to matter. You better deliver the next week. And so we have high standards, and that's not going to change. And we want to win every game we play, and that's just the way we're built. And so, like, regardless of what happened last week, because sometimes you win and you got to make corrections because there are things that just weren't good enough. And so we've got to be better. We understand that. I got to coach better. We all got to coach better. We got to play better. And but I also love the challenge of it too, because you know, regardless of the results of last week, like, you have to improve. That's just the nature of this thing. It's 17 weeks, and if you peak too early or if you don't continue to improve as the season works through, you're not going to like what you have in December.
I know you don't want to focus on last week, but coming out of last week, when you guys faced the adversity that you did, what did you notice about your unit and how they took accountability and responded to?
Oh yeah, that's not a question with this group. I never have any doubts about that. They're going to handle it the right way. You know, I would say this one thing is that we finished the game the right way, and I'm always like, when you get into those type of games where things aren't going your way, I'm always looking to see how guys finished, and the way we finished in terms of still running to the ball, still playing physical, you know, getting stops on those last two drives, that meant a lot to me and said a lot about our guys. And the approach this week has been great. And you know, I told them on Monday, like, look, we're obviously going to, regardless if we win or lose, we're always going to be in the mindset of getting better and self-improvement and collective improvement. But we're not going to come into work and be miserable either. Like, we love what we do. We appreciate being together with each other. And we're going to come in with the perspective of, let's get better, let's work, let's have a great attitude, let's laugh and enjoy this thing, because it's a really special thing we get to do.
And we're finished up with David. You were talking about Harbaugh being tough and physical. How does that match up with Greg Roman and what you've experienced going against his?
Yeah, he's the same mindset. Greg wants to run the ball, and he wants to play a physical brand of football. And you know, again, like we talked about the run game, this is a different deal than we played last week. Last week was zone running, outside zone, trying to cut you off on the backside. This is more go right at you and try to run over you, and so we got to be ready for it.
Is that tougher when you coming off a game where you didn't stop the run very well to have that, or does that make it easier when you know what they're going to do?
It doesn't make it easier. Every week is tough. You get playing against great players, you know, and so it's just matching up against what they do best.
Sorry, Coach, we're going over.
I was just gonna ask, do you feel good about Clowney's availability?
I am not quite sure about that. You have to ask Dave or Dan.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you all.